Again, welcome to the Patriot Tech. This is the Patriot Hours 2.0 channel backup. We are going live for this and recording simultaneously. We got Ben and Woodman in beaming into the show here, but I'm going to read this Q post that dropped. Let me try to... All right, so we got some of this 1933 paramilitary wing of the Communist Party of Germany. And then we got the 2017 paramilitary wing of the Democratic Party. Look how very similar these are. So we got a Twitter here. Clashes in hashtag Paris as hashtag yellow vest protests continue for the 8th week in a row. See some civil unrest. They're kicking and pushing and beating with batons and looks like a bad situation. Complete blackout by the fake news media. So there's been a complete blackout of this on the media, folks. Ask yourself why. Are they afraid of the U.S. patriots engaging in these same kind of tactics? Did the liberal left, the old guard, engage and form organizations such as Antifa to combat and silence fascism? Any such deviation of the controlled narrative? Do actions of these patriots abroad destroy the fake news narrative regarding majority agree with the policies of the liberal left? We will not go silent into the night. We will not go without a fight. Do you believe this movement and the worldwide events are simply a coincidence? Divided, you are weak. Together, you are strong. We the people have the power. The executive order is now active. Where we go one, we go all. All right, we're going to bring in Ben and... Okay, hold on here. Give me a minute. I don't know what happened. Oh, let me do this. All right. Can you guys hear?
Comms are up on my end. Mr. Woodman, how we doing over there?
Saying, commo check, audio check, check.
All right, we're good.
Yes, sir.
So what'd
yes,
you guys
sir.
think of that last little article there?
Go ahead, Woodman. What are you thinking?
Well, you know it's true. They got to put a blanket on that because, listen, you know, Americans are starting to figure out that, hey, they can change things. You know what I mean? And by watching that, by watching that, it helped them get organized in a proper manner. You know, what do you think?
I would agree. I think you look at those pictures just comparatively that what was happening when we were supporting the Nazi and you look to the left, and this was what's happening in Germany and anti-fascism. Then you look to the right, it's almost mirroring. They're taking the same logo and turning. In fact, here's German anti-fascist and Echtan, which is basically in English anti-fascist call to action. I mean, the flag is exactly the same. Look at that.
Yep. Very interesting. I mean,
nationalists not welcome. That's one of their stickers. And you think about it, I mean, nationalists, that's just being proud of the nation you live in. That you can live in any nation on God's earth, and you could be proud of where you live and what you are and how and that your local community. That's what a nationalist is. You're proud of the nation that you reside in or you come from, and there's nothing wrong with that. When you attach a verb or an action
anything
word
in front of it, right?
In front of that, that's you're identifying.
Or those are bad. We agree, but right now we see you're like Trump. He has come out. I'm a patriot. I'm about this country, the U.S. First. Let's start here. Let's fix our own misdealings around if we have facets of our government engaging in things. We're gonna start here. We're gonna fix the issues here that can fix a lot of things naturally just by cutting our own ties. But are you a globalist? Or are you a nationalist? Globalism or nationalism? What are the differences? I mean, Ben, if you're going to explain it to the people here.
Well, it's quite simple. I mean, a nationalist enjoys sovereignty of one's nation, good solid borders, walls, rule of law under, oh yes, love the cup, where a globalist is the idea of like the European Union, a bunch of countries giving up their sovereignty and their borders and giving up the rule of its sovereignty to a small group of people, and so nobody wants to give up their sovereignty and their fences and things like this. So the fundamental difference is one has borders and sovereignty and one does not. One is only would be part of the state. We wouldn't own anything, and the private property would be a thing of the past when it comes to globalism.
I agree. So, Woodman, what is your take on the government shutdown situation right now?
First of all, I want to make a little comment about what Trump said a while ago, and I'm going to mess this up a little bit. He said that we have a different government now, different than anybody's seen. First of all, I have to throw that in there, What was the question again, Mike?
On the shutdown right now, what is your take on it? What day are we on that, Ben? Like 13? Maybe we can check.
I don't know exactly. Is it day 13?
Somewhere around there.
13 or 14. One of the commenters, I'm pretty sure, on the live chat is going to let us know the exact number.
You guys let us know that number.
I think it's fantastic he's doing that. Problem is Trump is starting to hit him in the face about realizing how many nuts he has to deal with in the political realm. You know what I mean? He can only do so much at one time, even though he's got the right stuff going in the mind. Nobody's 100% perfect, but they're doing everything in their power to shut him down, no matter what it is. So I'm proud of him for standing his ground myself.
Well, I would imagine too. I think my mic's dying again. I don't think this battery was.
No worries.
Solution here.
No worries. We'll hold it down. Well, it's interesting you say that, Woodman, because we know that everybody during the shutdown, you may not be getting paid week to week. A lot of what the 80 to 90%, or actually about 80% of the budget was done October, November. We're talking the main infrastructure, mission critical, mission essential, governmental. That was taken care of. This part here, I would agree with him standing his ground in the shutdown, because very critically, it shows one that we're not going to get by with terminology and word porn or this. He wants a barrier, and the lady was saying
doing it right.
Yes.
he could have came in like, even before Trump, these military good patriots embedded into our system were seeing treasonous acts, and they could have just took arrested people overnight, Obama, whatever. That would have created a huge outpour into our community because nobody was seeing that going on. Everyone was following this mainstream narrative of everything's peachy clean, nothing's being done wrong. So now Trump comes in, and you have the right to shut down these agencies, and just, everyone's like, he has a right to do that. Well, they thought about it. They thought, if we do this, shut this down, shut that down, and then clean them, not reopen them until we get good people back in, it looks bad. And so they're doing it organically. It's taking a while because they have to show organically by putting in paperwork, Tom fitting over there, then it gets released. It's almost like it's showing their own crimes little by little. It's painting a really huge portion of our history, I think, getting ready to come up here to expose all this. But it's almost like the only way to do it without creating, and I think in the end there still will be some of these pockets of people outraged and upset, whatever. We're going to have riots in certain places. But man, oh man, I don't know.
Well, some of those are going to be naturally occurring, and also some of it's going to be stimulated by certain people. Also, that's the bad thing right there. When you get so many people planted all over the place and stuff, and then let's just say you plug it into the wall and give a little electricity to it. Wow, yes. That makes a big, So
I agree. What do you
No,
think
I
on
agree.
that,
And well, we can also see what's brewing as we speak. Yes, there's a narrative right now that there are military tribunals that's currently going on in certain areas. We also can see that there is an influx of quote unquote a new caravan or a new mass of individuals being created as an influx to come up and hit the southern border again. And so we know that we've said this before, even before the executive order went active January 1st of this year, that martial law period is either for insurrection or invasion. And so if you have our president calling for an invasion, big things are happening during this governmental shutdown. Like you said, Mike, things could be cleaning house. This could be another faction of the draining of the swamp, because there could be some more internal policies or EOs that are in effect during the shutdown. And if you're not mission critical, and what would you think? He said that, well, it could be national security and a national emergency due to national security at the border, at the southern border. And so there's many different ways it could do this, but obviously you wanted to come out where the most amount of sheeple or the most amount of the public are going to be wanting and easing into this, rather than a huge punch in the face and the shock, because that will create, like you said, both of you guys said, pockets of insurrection, pockets of rioting, because of they feel that they weren't heard or they wanted a certain narrative, but it doesn't happen.
And put it this way, you guys, if you had somebody come into this system in this one fell swoop like he did and win it over, beat the complete geared system that typically ends up with, no matter if it's Republican, Democrat, their guy sitting there 8 months before the election or 5 months, and they already know they have it in the win because each of those people are in their pockets. Their system won, their propaganda machine to prop up their two candidates or whatever, to give us the illusion of we're winning our guy. So if that all happened and you knew you were going to do it in this manner, expose things, you must have thought all of it out really well, because with the least amount of it's a shock and awe to, we're going to flip these people's world upside down because they've been getting lied to by a huge system. And nobody wants to come up and just shock you. I mean, we used to be about that, shock theater, or, you try to debate somebody, and the minute you jumped into, the Clintons take the babies and they do this, it's like, oh, whoa, guy. It's like some people that don't know any of that, that's not the proper place to start and hit them. Mm-hmm. Let's expose some of these treasonous crimes, things against, that are easier to work on and show people that they haven't been leading you so right. And then when you hear
Well,
about some of these other things, it's like, well, that makes sense now. While they were doing this stuff over here to be able to create disasters over there, it all kind of makes sense to you. Maybe.
Well, another thing to also keep in mind is that when we talk about this and people treasonous acts and military tribunals and treasonous acts can still be charged for those who have been pardoned. So let's say how many pardons were in the last administration? Oh, the Obama pardoned this person, that person. But military tribunals and treason goes way above and beyond. You can still, that pardon is a brush away. You can still be hemmed up for that, and that pardon won't take place. So that's another critical reason why this executive order came into play. And we're talking about national security, and we're talking about treasonous behavior. That term and even those charges that are being brought up against these particular people are like the kill switch for everything that they thought they got away with or got pardoned for, got pushed under the rug. All that's going to get swooped back up because who they got protected from before no longer stands on authority now.
Something that's come up. We don't have much fact, but it is like, did Obama pardon some of these people on his outgoing, some of the stuff we haven't seen yet, some really crazy stuff that just cleared, and that's
secretive
pursuing stuff. Yeah. So that could be the case, and that would make huge sense. So I'm looking for any updates here.
What they've done was made everything kind of like softer in the public's eye.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Well,
I would agree.
Whether it was a huge coordinated effort, it seems like they were, some of the departments at that point were just trying to cover for their own, to not go down in the mud so bad. You know, like if it was Comey, he wanted to keep his job title and it to go down in the history books a real proper way. So at that point, they started all boasting for their own. But maybe there's this huge thing over here that took place, pardons. So therefore, without saying it, you just have to play this weird part out in the public, and it doesn't quite make sense to anybody.
I have a question to both you guys.
Yes.
How many pardons do you think has been on the books, and how many have you heard about? And think about that, the number. Anybody can guess on that one?
Well, lot of you're right. There's a lot of public pardons where a lot of people like on death row or things of this nature or jail time, and there's a lot of public pardons, and we've seen those in multiple administrations. But you bring up a really good point, Woodman, when I talk about secretive or behind closed doors executive pardons for crimes that we didn't even know they committed, nor do we have any idea or clue they were pardoned for them all behind the scenes. And this not only executive order that we were talking about, but amongst other things, could address that very issue.
Correct. It's crazy, isn't it?
Is my mic a little louder now or still really low?
You're good. I can hear you good now, brother.
All right. People were saying it was low.
In martial law because of that terrorist act.
Patriot Act on the 14th of September of 2001, we put the Patriot Act into effect. Then we got enhancements to the NDAA and the military tribunals.
All while under a state of war,
Yes.
because we declared war on terrorism, which is technically a congressional act, and we got approval by Congress, and therefore we are operating under a state of war.
Exactly. And has that changed?
No, it has not. We are still in 2019. They have not taken away the congressional act of war on terrorism.
So think about that.
You're right, because terrorism could be domestic, abroad. What is terrorism? Human trafficking, crimes against children. You're terrorizing a child. That term terrorism is so umbrella, and it can be a bunch of different things.
Like human rights, like the human rights abuse executive order that covers trafficking of, just a vast umbrella of things.
Yes. So with these happening, Are we seeking for justice? Always. I think everybody
I'll put
here
up
on
the
this channel.
numbers. I'll put up the numbers
Okay.
for pardons. Now, those are the public pardons. We don't know if there was any done in veil of secrecy.
Well, there are always executive pardons that we never know about.
Yes.
Tons of them. Tons
Yeah,
of
that's
them.
what I'm saying. That's almost impossible.
They can't make them public.
Yes.
If they made every one of them public, all of a sudden now you can't have nobody had faith in anybody before organized or restructured.
Yes, I would agree.
It fall apart.